Okay. Okay, so welcome to the session. I promise you'll have more time after. My aim is to get in here on time so you can start lunch on time. Okay, so my name is Claudia. Welcome to the session. And this this session in particular, we're going to be talking more sort of into the specific of choosing courses in the field in the math and physical science and computer science. So just as interest, maybe we're good to introduce ourselves. We want to know how many are interested in computer science? Most of you. All right. How many are interested in physics, astrophysics? Okay. Welcome. Yes. How many of you are interested in stats, math, actuarial science? Okay, so good. Any other physical science and chemistry, biophysics, geoscience? Oh, it is a profession. I'm not kidding you. It's a profession. Look it up. It's actually a very happening profession too. Environmental scientist. All right. Okay, that's fine. Just so I have an idea. All right. So this session, we're gonna. Okay. So there's a few things I wanted to just get you key dates. I wanted to sort of point out. So in terms of selecting your courses, and because now we're going to zoom in and how to select your course, first year courses for in this stream. The first thing, obviously, you will need to familiarize yourself with the programs that you're interested. So some of you have already mentioned computer science. Have you gone into the computer science website? Have you looked into the course requirements? Can someone tell me what the course requirements are? First year?
148165.
148165. But if you don't, some of you may not be taking 148, and what would you take? 108. Okay, so there are variants here. So we're going to be actually talking about that. So you have a choice of one calculus. You have to do a calculus, right? You know that. So it's not just those one computer science courses, but you also need to do calculus. And what else do you need? Those are the main things. Okay. How about for actually anything else? How about if you wanted to go to actuarial science? What do you need? Does anyone know what?
137 or 157?
Yes. And what else? Yes. Stat 130. Okay, good. All right. So yes, so it's not just that one course. So you have to look carefully at the program, what the requirements are. So in fact, you are supposed to be taking Math 223, which is the linear algebra, as well in your first year. And that is very specific to actuarial science. Other math programs, you can take it in your second year, but stats and actuarial science actually encourage students to take the linear algebra in their first year. Okay, so that's why it's important for you to go into the program requirements, actually see carefully. That's the part that you need to really read carefully. What are the courses? And also, what are the admission criteria? What are they looking for? Because at the end of it, like some of them have very specific marks, minimum marks that you have to attain. And that doesn't mean you get in. That may not be the cutoff, but at least you need to attain the minimum marks, right? So some of you may be interested in economics. So that will, if you're doing the specialist in actuarial science, you actually will need to take economics. Okay. So anyways, so that's why you're here. You're gonna be from now until July 19th. You have to log into Acorn to check your start time. And really, your course enrollment date is on July 25th at whatever start time you were given. Okay, the reason why they assigned to start time is just because they don't want everyone to log in at 9 or 6 a.m. in the morning. Okay, so it's for your benefit, but that will be your optimal time to get your courses. Our first year students, all our first year courses, most of them, they are actually blocked. So even upper year students are able to go in first. Your courses, a lot of the first year requirement, they're blocked. So they probably won't be able to get a crack of it until after your period set, of enrollment ended. So the best thing, if you want to ensure you get the sections you want and the courses you want, then make sure that you actually go on and log in as close to your start time as possible on July 25th. And then on August 2nd, that's when the date where the priority will be removed. So what that means that other students can log in and take the computer science courses or the math courses. So if you waited until then you most likely you may not get the sections you want. Okay, so avoid trying to do select the courses as much as possible in your first round, because on August the 2nd, that's when you go and take the other elective courses perhaps that you didn't have priority for. Okay, so that's why it's another important date to keep in mind. Okay, and the 28th, so once you add the course, then the university will charge you as soon as you add the course, but not before then. So if you don't put any courses, you're not going to get charged. But as soon as you put in the courses, you'll get charged, and you have to make the payments either by deferral, OSAP deferral, or first installment of fee by the 28th. After that, it's just a little bit more hassle because you have to show us a proof of payment, because otherwise you will lose your courses. Because they do administratively, they drop everyone who has not paid and then free up more spaces. So if you have to then get back into the courses, there's no guarantee you'll be able to get back into them. Okay, and plus there's a penalty of $61 they have to pay. So try to avoid that. So that's when you pay your fees, that's when your status changes from invite to registered. And when you're registered, then that means you are truly registered, like you're good to go. September 5th is the first day of class. So some of you will be probably here before for orientation. So basically, I am going to point out some of the patterns that you will see in your first year in the stream, students in the stream. So actuarial science, like I said, it required the 137, 135, which are the higher end, of the more difficult math courses. So the 135, 136 are not gonna cut it. But most of the other programs would consider or would take the 135, 136. So what are the differences? I'm going to talk more about the course variants. So I'm just going to quickly go through it because no one mentioned interested in biophysics, but if you're interested, you should take a look at that. Chemistry, what else? Computer science, we talked about it. So the required courses are, so the admission criteria would require, they look at the mark, the cutoff, or the mark that you attain between the average of 148 and 165. But you also need to do the math, because if you don't do the math, you're still not meeting the criteria. But all of this also requires you to complete at least 4 full credits by the end of summer. Okay. So statistics, you'll require to do stats 130, computer science 108 at least, or the higher level one if you want, but the 108 is fine. Then one of these math courses, and Math 223 is strongly recommended, even though it's a second year course. Okay, so taking a closer look at the enrollment requirement, for example, in computer science, it's important to note that this is, I put a little snapshot of what the program requirements. So this is what you need to really pay attention to, the first 3, but also what is required really is 2.5 credits, right? 1, 2. First year, it's, okay, so you count, if you have the 108. But some of you may skip 108, that's fine. But at least it's 2.5 to 2. That means you have room for electives, right? What are those electives might be? I think what you may want to do is actually go to the website and actually look at the focus group. because there might be, some of them are, if you're interested in artificial intelligence, then you may consider taking some cognitive science, right? So that might be something that you want to add to it. Or if you are more interested in interface interaction or linguistic or whatnot, you may want to add those things, or philosophy or economics. So, and then you kind of build your degree and kind of choose your programs, courses accordingly. Okay, so that's one idea. So we talked about the slash, you know what slash and commas and all of that, those things means. So I think talk about the variance. So how do you decide which math course to take, right? Like, I think that's for all intents and purposes, Math 135, 136 are good for life science, good for many of the math and physical science programs, including computer science. However, if you are really looking into more theoretical math in the future, or thinking of doing a statistics or anything like specialist, then 137 or possibly the 157 is a better preparation. Okay, so that's something for you. Yeah, so the 138 is sort of like, if you have taken the 135 and 136 and then feel like you need more theoretical or proofs, then you take the 138 in addition in order to move on to do like Math 237. So this is like some for somebody who maybe took 135, 136, but then feel that they need a little bit more. So in your case, you would be choosing between 135, 136, 137. Okay. Any questions about this? Yes?
You know that UFT used to allow people to drop down from MUT 157 to 137, or is UFT still?
Or yes, it's still. So if you go to the math website, you'll find that information as well. In fact, the instructors will be announcing them in class. So typically you have till October, end of October, to drop down. So usually happens after your first test. So you have some sort of feedback, and then you can decide whether you want to drop down or continue or drop the course, whatever. Yeah, so but that information is on each website. So it's the same, it applies to physics, chemistry, to all the variants that may have like different level of difficulty. So the higher level it is, that the number is, it signifies it's more theoretical. So the CSC also have variants. So like I said, some of you may be coming in with no background or programming background whatsoever. Then you can start with 108. And so your schedule might look like this, something like this. So you take 108 and then 148 in the second term. But some of you who are able to do 148 right away will do that, and then do 207 or something, or electives in the second term. Like, you don't have to do 207 if you want to wait until next year too. But typically this is sort of how it goes. So deciding which one to take, again, if you have more, the website actually provides a little bit more questions and sort of to give you some sense of what would be the best. But if you still have questions, you are welcome to talk to the department directly and decide. Okay. So, well, I mean, nobody mentioned chemistry, so I'm just going to skip over this. Stats. Stats also have a lot of variants. For all intents and purposes, including students like in the social sciences that may require statistics, Stat 220 and 221 is the general standard. But if you are actually even majoring in stats, you should be taking 237, 238 and up. Okay. And there would be other department within the social sciences that they would offer their own quantitative course in stats, so that you might see GGR 270, which is equivalent to Stat 220, or Psych 201, equivalent to Stat 220. So all of those disciplines might offer their own stats. So the reason why they do that is because they want to, they incorporate some of the more practical uses of that discipline, applying the stats in that discipline. Okay. But yeah, so they're all kind of on the same level. Any questions so far about the stats? So, so final thoughts on their variance. Okay. Try not to take a more advanced course if you don't know if you are going to be able to do well, because it is true that the more difficult the course is, it is likely that the mark, that the grade that you get in that course might be generally lower. So you kind of have to weigh. Do I take on the risk or the challenge of taking a higher level one with a slightly lower mark, or take the lower version but get a higher mark? So that is the $1 million question. I cannot answer. There's no one answer here. It really depends on the person, the administration, but I strongly recommend that if you to talk to the department, and especially at the back, we have actually a few of the professors. If you look, Andy Diggs from chemistry, Danny Heap from computer science, Alonso Garcia Sass from the mathematics department. We've got Ajaz from economics and Jason Harlow from physics. So I would really recommend you make a point and go talk to them. So they're experts on the field. I cannot. I mean, I took first year calculus, but that's about it. And like, I don't know how in depth that's going to be. What's the difference? So that's why they're here for. So please go up to them, and then you can ask more questions about that. But yes, all of those will have a drop down. So in some ways, we encourage you to take the risk if you're really interested in going higher up, the more theoretical. But if it really proves to be a little too much, or like, but that imbalance with everything else, right? Then yes, that's why there is a drop down option. Okay, so, and for those of you who are perhaps originally considering, let's say, going to psychology, but you didn't know that you actually need calculus and didn't quite take calculus, or you don't feel that there's enough preparation and don't feel that that's strong, like you're strong in it, there are pre-university courses that you could take this summer in July, August to sort of prepare you for that. So the math department offers the Pump 1 and Pump 2 programs. The Pump 1 is the general like calculus, but the Pump 2, I think it's designed specifically for students who want to get more into the proof to get more comfortable with that. So if that you're interested, again, ask the professor. I think, sorry, who was it? That's Alonso's coming. So yeah, so please ask. Professor Harlow is also here today, and he has, like, if the link is there, which you can get if you have time, if you're interested in physics. He actually puts out a whole bunch of like instructional video that are pretty fun to go through and to prepare you for physics classes. So how do you build your electives, your courses with your electives? Well, electives refers to any other course that is not your main area of study, right? So they're actually just as important, right? In the course selection process. So consider things outside your main interest, and so things like even math or stats or computer science. Really, when you think about it, that in and of itself, it's good, but oftentimes it's the application of it that is just as important, right? So the question for you is, what is it, or what other perspective, what other areas, how would you like to apply these things? And so that should hopefully bring you to be curious about other areas, try other areas. And because that's the beauty of this program, this degree, is that you can combine other things. Some people decide that I want to apply computer science with biology or genetics or modeling and things like that. So there is a program called bioinformatics. Okay. So if you're interested in that, then yes, you will have to do biology too. And But some of you are statisticians who like to use computer, but also, again, for statistical purposes and modeling or doing whatever it is that so mapping resources. So geography has a program called GIS because it's called Geographic Information System. So it's a minor, but it incorporates some of those things. So take a look at those programs, how. That's the part that's why the elective, even though they're elective, but they're just as important because you never know how you want to combine it. But because at the end of it, you are the one who makes the degree work for you after you graduate. Okay. Any questions? So, and it's actually okay to also go, even if you are interested in combining music or something completely different. That's, again, it's also quite, I've seen students do that and quite successful. So anything else? Any questions so far? So an elective really could lead to potential programs. So think of it like that. Yes. Yes. What faculties? Yes. So within the Faculty of Arts and Science, we actually have already some, if you go to music, we do have a music program. We offer a music minor and stuff like that. So it's mostly, there is one ensemble option. So if you're like performance, then you can do that, and you can, you have to audition for that as well. So yeah, take a look at that. Yes. So if you're already a musician but love to do that on the side, it's okay to decide to want to do electives on that, or even add a minor on top of that. So it's just all about planning. Be creative about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm going to show you a place where on the timetable, the website, the timetable at the very top, it's just so hidden up there, and people don't normally take a look, but I will show you there that you can include and actually look for courses in other faculties. You can actually take courses from engineering. You can also take courses from architecture. There are 2 visual arts studies, including 1 studio course that you can take if you're interested in design and going into architecture. That could be something that you may be interested. So you're not going to be able to pull it out from our calendar, but it's like you have to go somewhere else. But there's a quick link from their timetable. Anything else? Okay. So some of you have already heard about the first year foundation seminars and the website, looked at the courses. So again, that would be a good sort of opportunity if you're looking for electives or and also ways to fulfill your breadth requirements. Can take a look at those. Okay, so assuming that you now have a short list of courses, including your electives, then what you need to do is turn to the timetable, because the calendar gives you all the descriptions and the roadmap to how to get the courses, how to get the programs, how to complete it, et cetera, et cetera. But once you get the short list of the courses, you need to turn to the timetable to actually see what exactly is available that particular session, right? So that's, make a distinction here. So calendar is the general roadmap and all the course offering. But sometimes not every courses are not offered every year, or like there are some new courses that come up every year. So you always have to then go to the timetable and enter all the courses that you want to do, and then see what the timetable, what's the availability, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is where the timetable is. And this part is the part that I circled. And if you can read the thing, you'll see, be sure to enroll. Of course, this is a timetable tool where you find the availability, but you can take actually courses from UTM. You can pull up the calendar for UTM, UTSC. So if you happen to be taking some courses, like you live near Mississauga and you want to take one day near Mississauga, take a course and happens to have it there, by all means, go ahead and enroll it. They are considered just the same as credit. But the only caution I give you is that make sure that it is a course that if you're taking it for program purposes, you may want to consult with the department to make sure that that's okay. Okay, with Mrs. Sile courses, our course codes are quite similar, except for the last digit, which is says 5. But with UTSC, our course codes are very different. So they, instead of level 1, 2, 3, 4, they use A, B, C, D. Okay, so, and their course is it's just different. You cannot just look by course code and say it's the same course. Downtown. That's why you have to read that. And from here, you can also access the calendar from course available to Arts and Science from Faculty of Engineering and Architecture and Music. Here, okay? So, and from here, you can click on the advanced search, and from that, you could sometimes put in additional information from departments or course, say, course level. Let's say I would need to find a course that is at the 200 or 300 level, then you can also help. It's just a search engine. So other things here, you can actually, there are a few online courses that we do offer. So if you want to that option, you can click on it and it will just display the online options. Okay. So some of them have wait list, or you want to see, okay, I'm just scrambling for a breadth requirement that fits my timetable. I just want to know what's available, and you may click this just to see what's available, shortlisted. So this is just basically a search engine for all the course availability for that particular, like 2019 and 2020. Okay. Anything else? Okay, session. So again, session here. You have to input not just the course code. Here you put in the course code. Here is the section code. And the section code refers to F, Y, or S. So Y is across the whole fall, winter session, first session and second. Okay. So some courses are offered in both sessions. So please don't put the same course twice. So like psychology would be offered the first and second. So if you get into the first one, don't need to put in the second one. Some courses don't have, okay, so term load. Again, if you go to the key dates, on July 25th, when you're first able to enroll in courses, there is a limit of 5 full credits that you can enroll in. Only on August 2nd, you can add a 6th course to it, okay? And that will be your limit. But as I said, it's not advisable to actually carry on 6. It would be probably the sooner you can decide which 5 to stick to, the better. Okay. So when you plan for courses, make sure that you plan both for the fall and winter session together. Because if you're thinking, oh, okay, I'm just going to take care of the fall courses first or Y courses first, and then I'll add the S courses later, guess what? You may not have the S courses, because most people, we tell students you have to treat the full academic year as you have to plan for the whole entire academic year. So don't wait until, I mean, you can make some changes if you need to, but try to plan for both sessions and enroll in the courses for both sessions. Okay, so we have something called enrollment controls. And I think for your purpose, most of the courses will have either priority, and then if you pull it down, they'll tell you who has priority in these courses. So sometimes if you're not part of that priority group, then that means that's probably the reason why you can't add the course until August 2nd. Okay, so August 2nd is another important date, because anything that you didn't have priority for, that's the day to get it. Okay, so spaces in courses are controlled, and then some of them have waitlists, some of them don't, and then so you can add yourself to the waitlist. Course conflicts, something that Acorn does not check. Okay, but on the timetable tool, when you display the timetable, they will flag it for you. You'll see red, like what courses are conflicting. So it is your responsibility to make sure that you try to adjust things so that to avoid conflict at all. Now, why avoid conflict? First of all, you can only be in one class physically at any given point. Also, if you happen to have tests on both days, then good luck to you. It's possible, some students have done it. If something like it really doesn't work out and there's maybe an overlap of 1 hour, but you are really at the sort of mercy of the prof to try to accommodate. So sometimes, I don't know, so it's a lot of negotiations that have to happen. And also if you, so anyways, in short, avoid conflicts. And it's your responsibility to make sure that you don't do that, because Acorn will not stop you from enrolling courses. And sometimes some people do that because, let's say you added a 6th course because you weren't sure, you're shopping. So in the first 2 weeks, you can do that, right? And then, so you may enroll in it, but then decide to drop one. And so that's fine. So that's why it doesn't stop you from enrolling, but you should probably, as soon as possible, change that. There are alternative practical sections for first-year biology and chemistry courses. Physics, there's no alternate, like you meet, there are labs that you have to do, and they meet every week. But physics and for chemistry and biology, the labs that you sign up, depending on the ending, it ends at 1 or 2, they might start in a different week. So they meet an alternate week. And in fact, you can probably schedule the biology, arrange to schedule the biology and chemistry lab to be on the same day, same time, just alternating weeks. So by looking at choosing the same lab section with the final digit being 1 and then the other one being 2. Okay, so these are like just little tricky things that change to that. So if you're interested. So yeah, courses offered by other U of T campus, we talked about that. It's important to check your start time. And that's the key date here is starting on the 19th. You can, so anytime between the 19th and the 25th, go check it. Like it's okay if you don't go right on the 19th, but it will be available for you starting on the 19th of July. And then you have to, after using making all your timetable and settling on which courses to take, make sure that you do have to input or upload them onto Acorn, because that's officially to enroll your courses. Okay. And so when you cancel the course, if you're paying a program fee, of course, it doesn't make a difference when you cancel, but you cancel at the beginning of the term, middle term, or but what counts would be how much time you want to spend in that. So, but as soon as you know that you don't want it, then please have the courtesy to cancel the course and maybe allow other students to get in the first 2 weeks, because usually in the first 2 weeks of class, people have chance to still add courses and make changes. So that's the critical 2-week period where people can still shop around. And sometimes they may drop a course, so that's why the wait list might move a little bit, things like that. Try to cancel it. And if you're paying per course fee, when you cancel also determines how much refund you'll get. Okay. All right, so the wait list ends on September 13th, but the last day to add courses, I believe, is maybe the 16th or something like that. So there are 3 days after the wait list is off that is called the lottery system. So basically, after the wait list is turned off, there will be no wait list. So then the courses become first come, first serve. So if you so happen to spot a space when you go in and someone drops after that, like, the next day, and of course it's available, then if you happen to spot it, then you can enter it. Okay, so there are like about a 3 days period that is called the lottery. Any questions so far? Yes?
You mentioned about course conflicts. There are courses that I know that, for example, I have lectures from 1 to 3 in the afternoon, and then there's a lab activity thing that follows like 3 to 4, right? Like 1 to 3 and 3 to 4 on the same day. Would you count that as a conflict?
No.
No.
Because, yeah, okay, that's a very good question. That will segue to something that I was going to mention it later. But you can, in theory, schedule one class after another during the day. So the lecture sections that you see L01, L05, whatever, When it's L0, it's a day section. That means it meets during the day, anything before 5 o'clock. So those classes starts 10 minutes after the hour, technically. So you technically have 10 minutes to go from one class to other. Yeah, so you just have to see where you're going. So if it's within the same, 2 buildings down, that's really not an issue, right? So it's okay to schedule one after the other. But what you don't want to do is sometimes maybe schedule something that is like from one end to the campus to the other one. Then, in the winter can be a little tricky, but it's slightly late, but, or you have to have really good snow boots. Okay, so in terms of like making your timetable, I, just using a traditional pen and paper, jotting down all the courses. But after you jot down all the courses, I think it's like the required courses first. So in this case, for example, if that's what I put down, then I have 3 courses because I have identified that I'm interested in computer science, but also in statistics and possibly linguistic and cognitive science. So I put out my first required courses that's my top priority that I need to do. And then if I have room for electives, you come up with another list. Okay, so it's good to have more than that, just in case now, because after you have a short list of courses and you go to the timetable, then you realize, oh, some electives might not work out, right? And then so if you have another longer list of short list of courses, then you can move to the next and then et cetera, et cetera. Now, it can be very tricky if you are, well, I think not so much for computer science, but if you are like doing lab, like courses that requires lab, it's more tricky. So my tip for you is to schedule the lecture sections first. And then all the lecture sections, including the electives, because then you can, and the practicum. And then the tutorials you can add later, because there are more tutorial sections than there are lecture sections. So you can make the tutorial sections, find the tutorial section that works for your timetable. Okay, so that's the little bit that, yeah. So, so again, you can add up to 6. So if you have not sure about something and you want to just secure a course, by all means, sometimes you can even in the first week of class, go attend the two or 3 classes that you're interested in, and then decide by then which one you want to drop and stay. Okay. Okay, let's see what, okay, so the next thing. Okay, so when you find the course, this is what comes out for, let's say I typed in Math 133 from the timetable, this comes out. So you may have to click here to find the timetable instructions. And in here, it says that tutorials you cannot add on Acorn after the 19th. Okay, so sometimes there might be some odd timetable instructions that you may find. So please don't be surprised, like, why I can't do this after a certain date. Then, that's, yeah. So the prior here, it's enrollment control. If you click on it, that's the drop down and it will tell you, okay, who has priority for these courses? So these are the groups that would have priority. So in your case, if you're in computer science, social science, or so any of these degree posts, then you will have priority for them. Otherwise, if you're not, then you're tough. Then you have to wait until August 2nd, right? So same thing, because you've been admitted to the stream, you'll have priority. But let's say you want to take something from another, like humanities or something that you don't have priority for, it's fine. You just have to wait until August 2nd to add it, okay? So these are the legends. You will find different type of priority controls. I think that the typical ones that you will encounter are the priority controls, or R2 controls, which means that priority will be given to, for example, all the first year foundation courses at Innis have priority for Innis students only in the first round, or 2 weeks, whatever they assign it. And then they will open it up to everyone else. So it's not like everyone else can't, it's just that they have to wait a little bit later. So that's how we can make sure that students who set certain priorities for that. So if you see an R, that means it's restricted at all time. Okay, if you see a E or something like that, then that means you have to enroll at the department. Okay, so some E courses will involve things like languages. So you can take sometimes, if you already have some background, you can actually jump and take a second-year course, but you may have to do maybe a test just to see what level of language you are in, and then you can actually proceed with that. So like some courses like drama and stuff like that, they may have an E enrollment because it involves audition. So that means the E means you have to contact the department right away to find out more information. And sometimes it's because maybe there involves some audition components to it. Okay, so underneath this, you'll find, okay, all the lecture sections. So in this case, math has about 8 lecture sections to choose from. So they're kind of coded in light green. So you can choose one and they will tell you the time, right? Eventually, late in August, you find these rooms uploaded, and then you can click where the classes are, okay? Right now, they might sometimes tell you generally in East, West, but eventually they will upload it again when you go back, and you'll be able to find exactly where the classes are, okay? So again, they will also upload the instructions, and all of that. So you can see the wait list, availability, status, and let's say you decide, okay, I want to do this section. You click on the add plan. Eventually, they will put all of that, and then you click display, and it displays graphically how your timetable looks like for both terms, fall and winter session. So it's a really great tool. So, and underneath that, you'll find tutorial. So if you see that, that means you also have to choose one tutorial eventually. But like I said, you can just randomly click one that you think approximately works. You can always come back and revise it if it doesn't work out. And if you see it red, then you can, okay, then yeah, I'm going to enter another one, etc. So it's pretty intuitive when you actually go in and do it. There are over 35 tutorial sessions, so there's bound to be one that can work around. Okay, so practical sections, again, this is the part that you may want to read carefully for chemistry. There's instructions and tells you exactly the lab. No tutorial and lab, actually all the tutorials and labs meet after the lecture has started. So if your tutorial is supposed to be Monday, but your lecture is not until Wednesday, don't show up in the first week of class to the tutorial because no one's going to be there, right? You only show up to tutorial. Practicum always starts after the first lecture of the class started, okay? All right. Physics the same. You can, make sure that you check. Okay, so this is the map, the campus map. Basically, it's divided to west, central. We're here on the west side. Most classes, if you're within that, you can schedule the classes. That's fine. It's the only issue is if you go from one end to the other, like really far. So. We talked about this already in the lecture. So waitlist, we also talked about it. I'm just going to skip over. So this is how it looks like. When you click, add to plan, all of these will show up here. And then you click view timetable, and this is what's going to show up. Okay, so it will highlight the red one. So, and then when you view the timetable, you'll see something like this. And then actually above that, it's all the listing in like sort of linear format, but then you have the graphical timetable. So again, you can see that. Then you can go back and say, okay, I'm going to unclick this and then put it in another section and then see how it looks like. Okay, so all of this is just a tool for you to use it, but it's helpful. You print it off because these are the course codes that you need to enter on Acorn, right? So I don't expect you to remember all the course code, but here it is. So you just print it off and then you'll be ready to add it to Acorn. Add it on the enrollment card. So again, tutorial, like, we talked about this. So this on the timetable is not an official timetable. So you need to input all of these courses back into Acorn. And you can put it in the enrollment card so that when the time comes on the 25th, you can just click enroll, and then that is real time. On Acorn, enrollment is real time. Okay, so when you're making all this timetable, again, make sure that you plan for both terms and you try to manage the course load. So don't put 7 courses in one term and 3 courses, even though the total is 5, but I'm talking about balancing the course load. Okay, yes? The enrollment card? I think the enrollment card is supposed to start next week. Yeah, then you can start adding courses on the enrollment card. Okay, so then any questions so far? So last important thing, I'm gonna have to probably let you go soon. But basically, there are some dates that Acorn are going to be shut off for maintenance, and they're arranged the wait list and stuff like that. So there's 1, 6, and 8. Also, there's a learning community. If some of you are interested in being part of that group, please take a look at that. There's more information at the barbecue. And again, it's important that you check for prerequisites and co-requisites, and because all of that Acorn does not check. So you could be put into a course, but then later if they do check and you get bumped out, don't be surprised. Okay, and and they could be halfway through the term, or by the time it will be too late for you to add in the course. So just try to avoid it. It is your responsibility to ensure that you follow the prerequisites, co-requisites, exclusions. Okay. So registration, again, it means enrollment, paying your fees by the 28th. So that's a really critical date. And that's basically it. And if you have any questions, feel free to come up to me. I'm going to stay here for a little bit. But otherwise, yes, please take a look. Turn to make sure you say hello and talk to at least 1 or 2 profs. Thank you.